Greetings and salutations, everyone. Listen carefully, you will hear the sound of rain. What a surprise. Welcome to Atlanta, otherwise known as Seattle. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is foam. Not just any foam, but foam that you would cut, foam that you might carve, foam that ultimately you might make into what is known as a model. Okay, now, you may have experienced a previous chemical stir fry where we talked about using styrofoam type product, the white stuff, okay? That's the stuff you cut with a wire, with a hot wire. That's all fine and dandy, except, you know, it's kind of on the grainy side. Some of it works better than others, but you're going to have a lot more luck cutting that with a hot wire than you are with a knife or with a CNC or something like that. So, there's another kind of foam. It's urethane foam, okay? Sometimes they'll call it HDU. I think that's one of the fancy terms for it. And it comes in a crazy wide variety of densities, all the way from super light to somewhat like a brick, okay? And this stuff, and all this stuff, by the way, is measured density-wise in terms of pounds per cubic foot. So this kind of thing might be 2 pound, 4 pound. So a 12 by 12 by 12 block of that stuff, if it was 2 pound, would weigh 2 pounds. Smart. On the other hand, this stuff, see it says U100. Well, the U100 means this 10 pound. It would be 10 pounds, 200, 20 pounds, 150, that's 15 pounds. And then here's the big boy of them all, in this particular group anyway, this stuff's 31 pounds. Now, what happens as you go from low density to high density is that the cell structure changes, okay? I'm going to look at this camera over here, okay? All right, now Ian's going to have to help me and tell me when it looks good. Okay, can you see the difference? Boom, 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 boom. This is real tight. This is almost like a piece of wood, okay? This is all foamy, okay? This is all foamy looking, okay? So when you cut into this, it's still going to look foamy. When you cut into this, it's still going to look good, okay? The difference is how much work does it take to cut this versus this. Trust me, it takes a lot more work to cut this than this. So let me show you. All right. We take this piece of 31 pound, and I'm just going to use a regular old knife, okay? Nothing special. Okay. You can cut it. You can do that. But what happens is, as you try to dig into it, you're going to start to tear it. Okay? And you'll be here forever trying to carve on this stuff. So if, for whatever reason, you wanted to use a product like this, you would want to cut it first with a saw as close to the finished size as you possibly could. That way your whittling time would be reduced. Okay? So we go from 31 to 20 pound. Okay? Same kind of thing. Okay? And if you could see this, you would see that the shreds, these pieces I'm taking off, are tearing. And the surface starting to take on just a little tiny bit of these waves. It's not bad, but it's not truly a carving foam. Yet, if you want to spend some time with it and just take your time, it'll work. Okay? 15 pound. Now, 15 is a special animal. This is the stuff you typically would find in the sign industry. Okay? Same kind of thing. You notice how I'm able to take bigger pieces out with this knife with about the same amount of effort? Okay. We get a 10 pound. Now I can start hacking on this stuff. All right? Not bad. So you can whittle on this one pretty good and get fairly quickly to where you need to be. Okay? Now, here's another test. Notice I'm just cutting with a knife. Right? But what happens when we try using a conventional, like a clay tool? Okay? Nothing special, just a clay tool. we'll go to this 10-pound density stuff and see what happens. Okay? Now that's when you start seeing the difference between what's called carving foam and not. I'm going to go to this camera again. Okay? What happens? See how it's pulling? Okay? See the little ridges? Now you got to go back and try to smooth that stuff up. Okay? So it's making little dig marks, if you want to call it that, and rips in the foam that are just not so desirable if you're going to spend any time at all working on this sculpt. I hope you can see that. Okay. See those little cuts, those lines that are going this way? Try it now. Is that better? Okay. There's lines going this way. Okay. Those are the pull marks from when I'm taking this tool and just trying to make cuts. Okay. I can also tell you that typically you don't try to hand carve with tools like this in a higher density foam. And in this case, even 10-pound is considered to be higher density. So that's why people use these low density products. Okay? Now we're cooking. Okay? I'm just using this clay tool, but still, see how through this stuff? Okay. So that's more normal for a carving foam. You're going to be in the range of 2 to 4 to tops, maybe 6-pound density. Okay? That's it. And again, I'm just using a hand tool. I'm just using a simple clay tool, and I'm cutting foam. Okay? So, real quick, this is going to be a demonstration of one of two things. It's either a demonstration of how you can use this foam to make something silly like a boot, or it's a demonstration of how Nelson can cut off his finger. We're not sure yet which way it's going to go, but we're going to try. So here we go. So that cut's pretty easy. That cut's pretty easy. Oh, just cut it, just broke it. That's what happens when you're in a hurry. Okay, so what we're going to do is this, see? All right. We've got his little foot down here that I'm going to cut out the heel of. All right? I hope you can see this. That works pretty well. And then if I want to whittle on it some more, I can sure do that. All right, so there's basically the heel. Boom. If I want to round this puppy out and make it look a little bit more like a boot, I can very easily do that. All right, do this side. Okay. Do the back. Until we have a customer. Ha ha. All right. So, with not a whole lot of effort, we can get this thing looking a little bit like the front half of a boot. Now, you notice I did break a piece off, right? That does say that this is a little more fragile and you really shouldn't be impatient with it. Okay? You can do that. And then you can, if you want, you can change your technique and instead you can use a knife blade almost like it was a scraper. See how that works? So in relatively short order, you can have something that's starting to look a little bit like whatever it is you're trying to make it look like. In this case, it was a boot. Okay? See that? All right, now, this stuff being rather porous, you do have to take some time to close it up before you can do anything like make a mold off of it, okay? Or if you want to paint it or whatever. You need to try to seal this, okay? Or just basically close up the pores in this thing so that it would accept paint and it wouldn't look all grainy. That's the big difference again. The more dense the product, the less grainy it's going to look, but the more dense the product, the longer it's going to take for you to do this, okay? So trade-off is what it is. All right, so here's the beautiful thing about this polyurethane stuff. You can coat it with just about anything, okay? Those of you who have used styrofoam in the past know that you get anywhere near it with anything resembling polyester resin, what's it do? It melts your resin with this stuff. On the other hand, if you want to use urethane with it, you can use urethane. You want to use a stone-based material like aqua resin, you can do that too. You want to use epoxy? Sure, no problem. It'll work. So it's a very forgiving material. Here's another thing. It doesn't melt. Okay? So you're not going to cut this with a hot wire. Don't go there. Okay? Bad things will happen to you. One leg will get shorter than the other. I promise you. Don't do that. You want to make sure you use tools. Hot wire will cause this stuff to throw off some pretty nasty gases that you don't want to play with. Okay? So don't do it. So you'll need your basic tools. You can cut this on a CNC. In fact, that's what this kind of stuff is designed for. This is for cutting with CNC type equipment. This is more like for hand carving, okay? You can only do that if you're very patient and you want to spend the next year working on your sculpt. But okay, maybe it's therapy. Maybe you're in jail. Maybe that's all you got to do. So in which case, buy this. Okay. I can't think of anything else to say, but what I will say in addition is that it is the last chemical stir fry of 2015. It's been a lot of fun. We intend to continue to do this. We intend to continue making them as educational as we possibly can. And I will also say that as we go forward, we're going to have more opportunities for classes in here. And never, ever, ever forget GUCON, second weekend in July. It's going to be a hoot. Okay, I'm through. Have a beautiful day, folks. We'll see you next year. Bye.